Good evening. It was a wake-up call they never expected. The sun wasn't even up when police pulled the trigger on a large and coordinated raid.
After 9 long months of gathering intelligence, 2 gangs from the city's northwest end were targeted. Toronto's top cop, Police Chief Bill Blair, says the work today is going to pay off tomorrow. Here is CTV's Austin Delaney.
The pre-dawn raids began exactly at 5 this morning, simultaneously at 105 addresses across the GTA and to points as far away as Ottawa and Sault Ste. Marie. 1,000 police officers rounding up alleged gang members from the 5 Point Generals, the Falstaff Crips, and the elusive International Shower Posse.
Well, I think it's very significant because I don't think that they've been touched, and I think they themselves believe that they're untouchable. And we finally made a step in the right direction, attacking the hierarchy that's supplying the street gangs.
A spike in violence in the northwest end of the city led to Project Corral, and 2 murders are now linked to the street-level gang fighting, that of Aaron Grant and Tyrell Duffus. Today's raids aimed at the heart of the 3 gangs, the Generals and the Crips and the Shower Posse, an established, sophisticated, older organization police say has its tentacles now deep in Toronto neighborhoods, supplying the street gangs.
By disrupting and compromising the ability of these 2 very violent gangs to continue to terrorize the neighborhoods in which they are so firmly entrenched, and by disrupting and dismantling the opportunity of a group like the Shower Posse to continue to supply drugs and firearms into our local street gangs, I think we're going to make a difference.
Heavily armed tactical units, 340 of them from across Ontario helping out, along with K9 units and the OPP chopper in the sky.
And we've identified people who are truly dangerous, people who are responsible for much of the violence that takes place. When we put them in jail, we are making our communities safer.
71 people arrested today, so many they were processed at 3 different police stations. The Shower Posse, with its roots in Jamaica for 3 decades, has been flying under the radar here until now. Police seize money, drugs, guns, weapons. Ballistic experts will now examine to see if they're related to any gun violence in Toronto's northwest end. Austin Delaney, CTV News.
After those arrests, it was off to court. We continue with CTV's Naomi Parnas, who was at the Finch Avenue courts. Naomi?
Well, Christine, I'll give you an idea of what's happening here today. I'm told by court staff that most of the people who are arrested and are still being charged will be brought to this court at Finch in the 400. And that's a huge task for court staff. They have to process about 70 people. That involves bringing these people into court, reading them their charges, and then discussing bail. Now, we have some pictures from earlier today. We can show you some of the court vans arriving here with the accused possibly inside. It's been a very slow process. They started arriving after lunch, and family and friends have been coming and going all day. At this point, they have processed only about 20 people. Some of the accused have previous charges or were out on bail. To give you an idea of some of the charges, many are for possession or trafficking of drugs, many firearm charges, and many charges relating to participating in a criminal organization. Now, most of the people will be back here tomorrow for their bail hearings. They didn't have bail hearings today. Some will be in the coming days, some next week. I'm told by court staff they could be here until 10:30 tonight. As for the accused, I'm told they will be spending the night in various detention centers across the city. Reporting live at the courts, I'm Naomi Parnas. Now back to the desk.
Thank you, Naomi. A Toronto mother was involved in today's raids. Her son was arrested. She was just getting her day started when police made their move and left their mark. CTV's John Musselman has that part of the story.
I thought it was a car running into a neighbor's house.
Maisie Daly says she was terrified when police smashed through her front door at 5 a.m., guns pointed at her head.
I hear, "Don't move, don't move, don't move, on the ground, on the ground."
The door is now in pieces, broken glass shattered all over the living room floor. Every room in her home near Eglinton and Black Creek turned upside down when police executed a search warrant.
Everything is out, all my letters, my closet, see all my cupboards, everything is on the floor.
Police were looking for her 21-year-old son, Brendan Daly. They found him in his bedroom. He was arrested and taken into custody for possession of drugs. Daly's brother was asleep in the next room when police burst in.
They pulled me down because I cut my hand over here, and they stuck the gun in my face.
Daly claims her son is not in a gang. In fact, she says he's been trying to clean up his life, although court records indicate her son has previous convictions for drug possession.
Because he's a child that is with company. And he's always been charged with company.
Still, she's angry police didn't show the search warrant until an hour after the raid. And the damage to her front door is an expensive repair she can't afford. Daly says it's raids like this that create bad feelings in the community. At a news conference today, Chief Bill Blair acknowledges raids can be traumatic, but if it reduces gang and drug activity, the whole community is safer in the long run.
For police forces from across the GTA, the arrest of dozens of alleged members of two street gangs known as the 5 Point Generals and the Falstaff Crips is significant. But what makes today's pre-morning raids most notable is that this is the first time suspected members of the notorious Jamaican gang known as the Shower Posse have been snared.
Well, I think it's very significant because I don't think that they've been touched, and I think they themselves believe that they're untouchable, and we finally made a step in the right direction, attacking the hierarchy that's supplying the street gangs.
Police say their 9-month investigation, dubbed Project Corral, began last August after a spike in gun violence in the city's northwest. They say these 78 arrests will free neighborhoods that have been held hostage by alleged criminals. 19 handguns, drugs, body armor, and vehicles were also seized.
By incapacitating these organizations, by limiting their ability to traffic narcotics, to carry firearms, and frankly to put some of the people who we believe to be truly dangerous and responsible for some of the violence that has taken place in our city, that we can make our communities safer.
Police say 2 recent homicides are also related to Project Corral. The murder of 19-year-old Aeon Grant last December, fatally shot in the 15th floor stairwell of a building on Falstaff Avenue. And the murder of 22-year-old Tyrell Duffus, killed in another building on Falstaff just 3 months later. Investigators say they also arrested 3 suspects in the Dominican Republic after intercepting 72 kilograms of cocaine destined for the GTA.
So the cops are doing their job. They're doing a pretty good job.
While some residents who live in the high-risk neighborhoods are relieved.
I've heard gunshots. I've seen more than I want to see.
Others still live in fear.
That's not going to stop them.
Police say they're already working hard to make sure other gang members don't move in.
It's our responsibility not only to remove the cancer within that community, but also to assist in the rebuilding of those communities.
And police believe the dozen or so suspected members of the Shower Posse were supplying both drugs and guns to the 5 Point Generals and the Falstaff Crips, rival gangs. So investigators believe that the flow of drugs to our streets will be reduced drastically as a result of these arrests. Leslie?
And Catherine, those suspects rounded up today are in custody. Any chance they could get bail?
Well, they were taken to 3 divisions in the city, 12, 23, and 31 division. I am told that many of them were transferred to court at 2201 Finch this afternoon. I'm told that the Crown will be contesting their bail since many of these suspects are considered violent and dangerous.
The hundreds of police who fanned out across the Toronto area early today, cracking down on street-level gangs and gun violence. Project Corral netted everything from guns to cash to diamonds and cocaine. And as Global National's Mike Drolet explains, a surprising catch as well.
The raids were conducted simultaneously, 105 in total, using 1,000 officers, mostly in Toronto, but as far away as Ottawa. In all, 78 arrests were made.
We went in there to try and remove the cancer in that neighborhood.
The targets were members of 2 street gangs, the 5 Point Generals and the Falstaff Crips. But the investigation, which started last August, led police to a much bigger fish, the Shower Posse, a secretive Jamaican organized crime ring which allegedly supplied drugs and guns to the Generals and the Crips, rival gangs fighting over the same turf.
I don't think these individuals have a client base that they want to keep separate. I mean, money's money for them, and that's the way they do business.
Since 2005, the so-called Year of the Gun, Toronto police have conducted 1 or 2 major gang roundups a year. It's resulted in hundreds of arrests, but gang expert Michael Chettelberg argues every arrest creates a vacuum. A drug dealer leaves, another moves in.
I think on balance, is Toronto going to be safer? I think, yeah, if they pick the right guys off the street, but it will create some more elbow room for people to come in and step into the fray.
I was right across the street when I heard the pop, pop, pop.
This former gang member has seen his share of violence. He now works to convince youth to avoid the mistakes he made. Taking us on a tour of the toughest parts of Toronto, he sees what police see: organized crime feeding the needs of street gangs.
Really, if you look at it, these smaller level street gangs don't necessarily have the resources, you know, to set up things like drug labs or, you know, grow ops, or to be importing, exporting, that sort of thing. So, you know, that that is the business of organized crimes.
It's all connected, the suppliers all the way down to the dealers. Toronto police hope they've made a dent. Mike Drolet, Global News, Toronto.